Real inclusion will always involve conflict. Harmony is often a sign that some voices are missing.
It would be unusual if we're thinking about equality, diversity and inclusion and there isn't some resistance or friction.
If you find a place where you feel like you belong, I can probably guess that you feel that that's been a place where you've challenged.
Because if somebody's kind of taken out and shamed, it can be harder to move forward with that openness to grow because it shuts people down. To be like, it's only a bit of rain.
Yeah.
No.
Hello and welcome back to the Social Matters podcast. We are three social workers talk about social matters. My name's Eugene.
Hi, I'm Fran.
Hi, I'm Nadia. Let me do that again. I was looking at the wrong place. Hi, I'm Nadia.
How you both doing? How you on this?
Really well, thank you. It wasn't raining on the way in, so
Yeah.
I'm happy about that.
Well, it was raining when I was coming in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like light raining when I was coming out my flat and walking to the station.
Yesterday, I had like a little like social gathering, and then somebody brought like sort of little cards, and you had to like choose a question for the group to answer about you. So I wanted to ask you both. So my question was, how am I most likely to respond or react to getting caught in a rainstorm?
Oh.
Okay, first, am I gonna chalk it up to experience? B, am I gonna be miserable? Or C, am I just gonna laugh it off and enjoy the moment? What do you think it is?
Can I ask some clarifying questions, please?
Go ahead.
Where is this rainstorm taking place? Is it in this country,
Or you're thinking tropical?
Yeah, or is it in one of the Nordic countries, or is it on a tropical island? Actually, because how did you interpret that? Because I
interpreted it as, I remember when we was in central London the other day and it was dark and it was raining and it was up. I was taken back to that.
Yeah.
So
I think let's go this country.
Okay.
Yeah. What would you say? A, B or C?
For ourselves or for
me?
For
For
you?
me. Chalk it up to experience, be miserable or laugh it off and enjoy the moment.
C. Laugh it off and enjoy the moment.
Okay.
Chalk it up.
This is what everyone was saying. It's like, oh, you're so positive. Like, you just enjoy it. Chalk it up to experience. I was like, I will be miserable. Because if I have the right coat, I've got the umbrella, fine, it'll be okay. Like, I'll maybe, try and enjoy the moment. But if I'm soaked to the skin, I'm miserable.
I know.
So, yeah,
Do you remember when we went to watch our team, Hackney District, shout out Hackney District, play one of their first foot matches last year, and that was a rainstorm.
Yeah.
And when I think about rainstorm, it's sideways wind. It's making the rain sideways. Like, you can't protect yourself from it. It's in your face.
Yes,
that was cold
and
that
it was
day as
so
well.
cold.
And I'd been out raving and hadn't had much sleep. It was like a horrible experience.
But they won, and it was a great game.
Yeah, it was. It was. They're doing so well. Love our team. What about you, Yude? What would you?
Miserable as well.
Yeah.
I think that rain is my least favourite weather.
Same.
I say least favourite. I hate it. I'm saying least favourite.
I said that.
Like it ranks on the favourite least. No, it's the weather that I dislike the most. I think, like you, is the idea of getting wet, and when it's combined with the wind, then that's a problem. I think if I have like my long raincoat, then I'm relatively okay. But if it's coming in one direction and stuff like that, like I remember walking to the station on that same midweek where we met on Tuesday, and then you're walking and the rain is okay because it's on my back, it's fine. I turn the corner and then it's in my face. I would be miserable.
Yeah, same. I was saying when we were kind of caught out in central London, it's the worst. Yeah. Weather form. But I think it is one of those ones, as positive people, sometimes you try to be like, it's only a bit of rain. No. I think I try to embody that. There's something about like the language of being caught out. I guess if I knew I was going out, that in it, like if I knew it was heavy rain and you're prepared. But like yesterday coming home, it was grim. Yeah. And it's also then the like bus, car, splash puddle that was happening as well. And I basically had to run along the street because there was no like let up from being splashed and it was like muddy. Yeah. And then once you get wet to the core and damp, it's miserable. Just But
your interesting questions about where did you think in this country or another country? Because in another country you'll probably be like,
Because
Yeah.
you'll dry quicker and be
Yeah.
warm, where here it's just like, I'm just damp now.
Yeah,
That's
I'm cold.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And my experience of tropical rainstorms in more tropical islands is that it's brief and then it's kind of a let up from the heat, and then like you said, you dry up.
You kind of welcome it, actually.
Yeah.
You dry it really quickly. And it's interesting that we all agreed on that statement in response. It kind of segues us into what this episode is going to be, and we're going to see whether we can
Smooth
agree
operator.
or disagree on some of the statements. So just to kind of let listeners know and contextualize this episode, we're going to have statements episode. So there's going to be a number of different statements in the cup and related to the work we do around diversity and inclusion and just all around social change and social justice and stuff like that. And we're going to read out the statement and then comment on whether we strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. That's the scale.
Cool.
We will probably
Ready?
end up agreeing on everything, and Fran's just going to navigate.
I'm just going to
away
contort
there.
myself around here. Product placement, you can get these from our website. No, you can't, but we should start selling them.
Let us know.
Our lovely faces on here. All right, who wants, I'm doing it like an actual cup of tea in here. Who wants to go first? She says, looking at Naddy.
Yeah.
Go on, babes.
Oh, is that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the statement is, most equality, diversity and inclusion work in organisations focuses on looking good rather than doing good. Discuss.
Interesting. I think for some, it possibly does. And it makes me think of kind of performative allyship versus sort of active allyship. So performative being some of the kind of, I guess stuff that you might see on the surface, like, I don't know, wearing a rainbow lanyard or something, or once a year kind of showing kind of support for a group, but not that consistency, as opposed to the kind of active, consistent allyship. But I know often when we're doing kind of training on it, it's not that kind of, you often performative might start as the initial kind of move to more active allyship. So maybe for some organisations, it does start as a kind of like, I should be doing this thing, but actually can that then move into more meaningful work? So maybe for some it might start as that, but the hope is that, by kind of, even just inviting that kind of thinking or that work will hopefully move into kind of more meaningful, longer term, consistent work.
Yeah. It was, when I read this statement, it made me think about a thing of like intention and impact. Like I think that the intention from organisations is to is to do good. Like, they want to do good. There's a recognition that, something needs to shift. There is work to be done. I think that, the intention is to do good. And then potentially as well, a bit of a proportion of wanting to look good as well, to, seem appealing and, for people to maybe apply to be there, or, for their current workers to stay. But I suppose at what point then does it become, okay, what is this actually meaningful, and is it actually shifting culture, and are we actually seeing change? I think it's quite a sort of overlapping kind of concept, I guess. So I think that it can tip into just looking good if the actual sort of application and day-to-day consistency and persistence and perseverance isn't there. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, and I think it's, for me, context dependent, like both of you are alluding to, and depending on which organisation it is, where they're at. And I think it's just so difficult to measure what looking good looks like and what actual good equality, diversity and inclusion work looks like. Because when I heard the statement and I think about the word organisations, what does that mean? Is it the people? Is it the kind of outward comms? Is it the senior leaders who represent the organisations? Because I think what I think we've seen in our work and in places that I've worked with in the past is that there ends up in some organisations being pockets of really good equality, diversity and inclusion work through ground level movements of ground level staff or mid-level staff that want to try to contribute to make the workplace more inclusive, where people feel a sense of belonging. And the drive from that doesn't always come from the organization's strategy, or doesn't always come from like senior leaders. So yes, in the organization there may be pockets of real good work that is actually deep and not performative, but maybe the outward comms of the organizations can look performative, or just make people just try to make them look good. So it's a hard question to answer definitely about where I land on it. It's more contextual. And I think a lot of people don't know what good looks like when it comes to this work of diversity and inclusion, and people don't know how they do it. And that's what kind of we found in a lot of the work we've done with organisations, being appreciative of what we do to help them move along and give them the tools and mechanisms, thought processes, and the how to create good. So yeah, that's what I was thinking, some of my reflections.
Right, next one. Real inclusion will always involve conflict. Harmony is often a sign that some voices are missing.
Ooh. Do you know what it's making me think about is like the word conflict. It's quite like open to interpretation. Like, are you thinking of conflict of, you know, big beef and falling outs, or are you thinking of conflict in, you know, kind of a smaller way, like a bit lesser down the scale, that actually I just don't agree, you know, that so I think that there will always be conflict. I think that there will, because we are all different people and we're all coming with different experiences and, you know, views and different kind of lenses to how we kind of view and experience the world. So it would be unusual if we're thinking about equality, diversity and inclusion and there isn't some, you know, resistance or friction or some kind of conflict in some way. Because I do think if there isn't, you know, a sign of harmony, it's making me think as well maybe about the process of it. Can you get to a process of like general harmonious, you know, cultures or workplaces or groups? I do. Harmony is. I think I agree. I do think that maybe there is somebody, maybe another voice that we haven't heard that could be included in the conversation.
I was drawn to both, like certain words within that. I think conflict is one that I think, you know, that's why often people, you know, often in some of the training that we do, it's this kind of like, you know, I don't want to say the wrong thing, or kind of perception of difficult conversations. And I suppose, like you said, unpicking what that means. And I think often we say, don't we, like lean into discomfort. So I associate almost that with discomfort, and like change and growth doesn't happen without that discomfort. But I'm also drawn to harmony, because I think if it was all harmonious, we would have solved all of the isms, you know, but there's going to be that kind of difference. As you said, everybody's different. And it makes me think about psychological safety, which we talk about in our work, which is that like very much acceptance of difference and inclusion, and being able to kind of speak up and, you know, bring difference in order to kind of grow. And I think, you know, it's not about kind of being nice and harmonious. Often organisations that are harmonious, they may not be having some of those different or difficult conversations. So I think, harmony feels like utopia, but actually are some voices missing if it's all harmony? Because I think harmony also I see as like, I guess, linking with the kind of music analogy, harmony is almost like everybody singing from the same tune or hymn sheet, which would be a kind of monolith. So I think, I agree as well.
And that's I agree. This is great. So, just on that topic of harmony, I think like total harmony is an illusion, because if I ask you, like, tell me a moment in your life or relationship that you have where there is complete harmony, and I think nobody will be able to, no one on this earth can say that, because like if you think about your loved ones, your families, your partners, relationships, harmony is there, but conflict will be there. Disagreement, that scale of conflict will be there, because once you feel safe, psychologically safe with somebody, you feel able to challenge, you feel able to put your view across. So that, for me, harmony is like it's not an absolute position. It's almost like a dance between harmony and conflict. That's where I think real inclusion can happen. To have absolutely one or absolutely the other, I don't think that's not going to be helpful. It's about how do you find the balance. So for me, it kind of starts with the desire to create a more harmonious environment where people feel safe to challenge. So that comes through psychological safety, that comes through belonging, and the blueprint for that is like the relationships that you have with your loved ones, whether it's a partner, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's a community group or whatever. If you find a place where you feel like you belong, I can probably guess that you feel that that's been a place where you've challenged, and that's been a place where you've had conflict in a way, and that's been a place where you've felt uplifted and had harmony as well. So real inclusion for me involves the idea of creating a context and a space where people feel like there is harmony, connection, but also where conflict and disagreement can exist. Because if we're all saying yes, we agree, then there's something missing in really moving any topic forward, but especially with inclusion, as the world is just changing.
I do think that point of like the balance is a good one, because I think we're all striving to generally be more harmonious. And so I think, but I also think that, the thing of, are all the voices being heard? Is everybody who should be in the room, here as part of this conversation, it's a good challenge to be like, are we a bit too comfortable? Are we a bit too kind of, sure. But I think generally it's like my kind of, as somebody who isn't striving for conflict in a big way, like, conflict is uncomfortable. So I do think that the idea of striving towards harmony for the, like, more harmony than conflict is something that I'd say I'd recognise that, can we just all get along, but equally conflict almost contributes to harmony, in terms of, like, actually, if we have it out and we discuss it out, we can kind of work out what it is that the other needs in order to be able to be harmonious, work towards more harmony. I'm just saying words. I'm just kind of reflecting on
it does, and I kind of almost have this vision of them like on a kind of seesaw, and you kind of they both need each other, because like, I think initially I was thinking, is harmony kind of this kind of just one voice, or like, when you have a culture of this is how we are, and it doesn't allow for that kind of diversity of thought or voice. But actually, I guess it's like reframing kind of harmony so that, like, many voices are included within that, so that there is a more like harmonious environment that's inclusive as well, and not just kind of one voice.
I was just looking up harmonious. It says tuneful, not discordant. It says forming a pleasing or consistent whole. And it also says free from disagreement or dissent.
Yeah, that's the way.
It's maybe we need to rebrand harmonious.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's that, like, open to interpretation as well. And I see an element of harmony. That's how I don't believe harmony, like that idea of free from disagreement or dissent. I think it's a fallacy. I don't think it is possible. And also, I think it's important to be mindful of how harmony or a perceived harmonious environment can exclude. Because I'm just thinking, if you're an organisation and then you've got like 20 people and you're like, we all get along, we're all harmonious, blah, 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 what does that do? That prevents you from potentially bringing in difference in, and not necessarily difference in the sense of just visible diversity, but difference in the sense of views and thoughts, diversity of thought, diversity of identities as well, where you're unconsciously maybe bringing in everybody who is under 25, or everybody who loves to go to the pub after work, like unconsciously bringing in people who are similar to you because you're like, this is the fit, this is the vibe, this is how we create a harmonious team. Then what does that do? That may cause you to unintentionally exclude people. So it's about also being mindful about how harmony can exclude and how conflict and difference can include, because it brings people in. So yeah, like you said with the seesaw, I think it is a bit of that.
And I guess harmony being like an absence of conflict, almost I see then linking with the idea of like peace, but that kind of like almost keep the peace feels like there's not the space to offer difference, to be a disruptor, and actually that isn't very inclusive. So yeah, lots of food for thought. Right, you get your mix in the cup of tea.
You're gonna drink out this cup still. I was like, our hands are still clean. Good intentions should not protect people from being challenged or held accountable. Good intentions should not protect people from being challenged or held accountable.
Yeah. So be like, oh, I didn't mean to or intend to hurt or upset.
Yeah.
But you did.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that statement that they should be held accountable. But I suppose just thinking about, it's in the how, isn't it? It's in the how. How are you held accountable? How do you hold people accountable without kind of shaming or shutting down or, guilt tripping them or whatever? Just as actually, that wasn't your intention, but this was the effect, this was the impact, and this is why is a way to kind of is a way to do it. But I do agree that people should be held accountable.
Just bringing back what you said earlier around intention and impact, I think that's like good intentions, and people are often well intended. I would like to believe in the best case scenario of human beings, people are well intended, but the accountability for me, again, is a spectrum. So it's part of that spectrum is also making people aware of what they've done or said, or how they've treated somebody, and how that can unintentionally cause harm. So it's like holding a mirror up to somebody. So it's not necessarily, for me, just accountable in the sense of now you're going to be told off and you're going to be punished for those words or those actions. It's accountable in the sense of helping to educate somebody, helping them to see what I've seen or what I've heard, to help educate themselves to move on. And then for me, it's about what do they do from there, because intention is one thing, your intention can be pure, but once you've got the information of how to kind of be different, then what do you do in that moment? And so I think I agree with that statement. I think accountability, whether you want to call it accountability, whether you want to call it feedback, whether you want to call it support or education, I think it's so important as we navigate a world where we have difference. In order for people to feel included, we have to be okay with circling back and understanding that we get things wrong. Because if there's somebody who in life tells me that they've never done anything to harm anyone else with regards to their words and actions, then I'm calling that person a liar or a 2-minute-year-old baby. That's all.
2-minute-year-old
or 2-minute-old baby. That's it, because the individual doesn't exist. So there's got to be a element of us that will always need to be held to account to a degree. So that doesn't kind of dismiss good intentions, but it should sit hand in hand, palm in palm with good intentions. Accountability should, I think.
Totally agree. Very harmonious today. All of us agreeing on the same thing. We need some difference in here. No, but I totally agree. And I think actually this is such an important area to discuss. This is where the real growth and change happens with equality, diversity and inclusion work for all of us. Because as you said, we definitely will have harmed people with unintentionally. Like you said, I don't think anybody would be kind of devoid of that. And I think that is where the growth happens, to be able to understand that and remain humble and open to learn and grow and unlearn and relearn, because I do think that's where we all can support one another and change and grow together. But being open to that, you may do it, and how do you kind of learn from that and move forward? And the kind of quote of like, do the best you can, Maya Angelou, until you know better. When you know better, do better. And I think that really is so powerful, and that speaks to this, doesn't it, really, totally. as well. And as you said, I think it's the how, and certainly in our work and training, we kind of seek to create a space where there is that respectful challenge, because if somebody's kind of taken out and shamed, it can be harder to move forward with that openness to grow, because it shuts people down. But it's hard because it's, you know, it's emotionally charged work. So it is hard if you've harmed somebody and impacted somebody, and navigating that is not so straightforward. And that's where allyship can come in, you know, to kind of name the kind of impact in other ways. But yeah, I just think of all of the kind of work, this is where I think that those interactions between people, real growth and learning can happen.
Yeah, I think as well that, just thinking about some conversations that we've had in our training about that position you were talking about, of being open, being humble, and kind of wanting to learn. I remember some conversations we've had in training recently where you've kind of said, you know, as a white person, you've benefited from, structural like racism as a white person, that you've benefited from kind of structures being sort of geared towards you and white people, and that feels uncomfortable. But if you're taking that position of, you know what, it's happened, what can I do, how can I kind of change, and how can I learn, how can I move forward in a kind of different way, it's almost that you kind of have to accept it and take it and then do something with it, because the denial or the kind of like, don't bring that label over here to me, isn't gonna grow you and develop you and, you know, kind of move you forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it like, you know, nobody wants to feel that they've done that. And I think if you're from a kind of dominant group, whether it's based on race, whether it's on sexual orientation, on gender, you will have benefited from those structures that privilege that aspect of identity. And nobody wants to kind of feel that or experience that. But it's really important that is that kind of work for all of us to kind of, move forward together, multi-directional solidarity and allyship.
Thanks, team. Really good episode, really good discussion. And yeah, maybe in the future we'll bring back this sort of episode and discuss more statements. But we've been Free Social Workers Talk About Social Matters. You can find us on social media, LinkedIn, Social Matters, and Instagram @Matters Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, then like, share, comment, let us know your responses and thoughts in relation to the statements, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.